Good evening, everyone. I'm so excited. Tonight we are talking about the Enneagram 8. And oh my gosh, what a treat. Some of the most impactful people in my life have been 8s. And if you don't know anything about the 8, then I recommend after this call, go read on the EnneagramInstitute.com the type description. And you can do that thing that we always do, which is we type our friends and family. And we're like, oh, I know an 8. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking because I'm the least qualified person to talk about this. But I'm going to start off the call by handing it over to my friend Abby, who is an 8. She's an executive in our team. She's amazing. And I honestly, here's the honest to God truth. I wanted her to talk because I think she is such a pure representation of someone who is a really healthy version of an 8. So you can kind of get an idea of what that looks like. And oh my gosh, I just can't wait to hear what you have to say. So Abby, I'm going to turn it over to you, girl.
Oh boy, I think you just wanted me to embarrass myself as the 8 of all 8s because there's not a filter up in here. So I'll give you a quick overview. I don't know how many people are 8s and how many people are just like listening, but so 8s are the challenger. Like we love to be protective and assertive. We have our ish together and expect everyone else to as well. And it annoys us when you don't. We process and problem solve really quickly. We hate inefficiency. There's always a better and faster way to do things. And we'll be damned if anybody does it better than us. Like that is our thing. We're usually human Rorschach tests, which means like your reaction to us tells us a lot about you more than it is us. I don't know if that makes any sense or not. But you especially see it with like women who are called intimidating. Like that is a very typical response to 8s. For us, good, logical, decisive choices are really important. We do not suffer fools, and we are very vocal about it. But we do show up on the front lines of anything that we do, like with an absolute purpose. Our downside is we hate to be vulnerable. Emotions and emotional talk and like supporting people in their emotions is not necessarily or always our strong suit. So something that gets 8s fired up more than anything are when we are misrepresented. And I think 8s might be one of like the most misunderstood groups of people until you really understand why 8s are the way that they are. Some lies that are told about us, like as we're growing up, that we need to work through for our own personal growth and in order to do our business. I've heard these at almost every job I've ever been in from people who I wouldn't necessarily trust their opinion now, but at the time it made me feel like, oh my gosh, I really need to change like who I am, but not true. So some of those lies are that we're difficult to work with and we're too much and we're too intimidating and we need to like restrain ourselves and just get along with everybody. But are we intimidating or are you intimidated? We are not difficult to work with. We are difficult to take advantage of because we speak our minds unfiltered. And as women, that makes us double scary. Nobody likes that in girls. So it's kind of a weird place to be as like a woman working, especially as a mom too. Like 8 moms are a trip. We are also told that we're too nitpicky. Like we just want everything, like there's a better way to do everything. And we're really good at seeing the better way, not to sound really like narcissistic. That's like a skill of ours. And it's because we're so invested in what we do. Like we hate doing things halfway. If we have to half-ass something, it drives us absolutely nuts because we know that if you know better, you should do better. Like, why would you not do your absolute best? We also are considered to be combative a lot of times, but really we're just energized by conflict. Like we see value in intense, direct conversation that actually goes somewhere instead of like, let's have a meeting to schedule a meeting so that we can have a meeting about the meeting that we're going to have. Like that drives us berserk. Let's just say what needs to be said and move on from there. Like we like movement, we like traction. And I mean, in society, it's sometimes usually more important to like be nice and be gracious and be accepting. And yes, there's a time and a place for that, but that doesn't have to be your standard every day. We're also told that we're closed off. So it's a privilege actually to be invited into our small circle because we have very few relationships, but they go deep. We would rather do that than have a bunch of shallow, like, how's the weather today? And like small talk, not my jam. But once you're in, like, we are your hype man forever. We will go out of our way to like light you up. When stressed, we tend to become reclusive and secretive, and kind of turn in on ourselves with some analysis paralysis. And we kind of start focusing on like future projects instead of getting things done necessarily. You can tell that an 8 is growing when we pause before we start reacting, or when we display some vulnerability, show some like scary emotions, because one of our core fears is like that we will be betrayed. If we share something deep with you, we're terrified that you will use that against us later on. So some tips that I came up with for business specifically that I've learned. I haven't been doing business for very long. I've kind of been like toe in the water for a little while, but I like really jumped in recently and have just been learning a lot about myself. And so some of those things, the first one is to say what needs to be said. We've been told our whole lives to like tone things down, change your delivery, but what you say and the way that you say it like makes you you. So don't be afraid to say it exactly how it comes to you. You can use that voice in really two really specific ways. The first one is to empower your team. Hyping them up should be like half your job. Being generous and unguarded with your love, like not holding any of that in, waiting until you have a deep connection with someone. Like, don't wait, just hype them up. Like make them feel good emotional things that might make you feel like, I don't know you, why are you saying this about me? Even if you're not best friends yet, do it anyway. Your opinion is like the opinions of 8s are heard. People tend to listen and remember to the things that 8s say because you know you can trust their word. They're not going to be beating around the bush. Like they're going to tell you how it is. So giving someone a public nod tends to go a long way for people on your team and people in your life, family relationships. The other thing is to say things that people are scared to say. If there's like a controversial topic or something, or just like this gray area, don't be afraid and don't shy away from those controversial topics and actually lean into them, because you're the type of person who can. Not every type of personality can do that. You're equipped to have the discussions that will come with the hard things, because you do the research and you think critically and you make clear decisions. So when you use that voice and aren't afraid to speak up and say those things, you actually inspire other people to start doing the same, who otherwise might not have had the courage to do so. But they see someone else doing it and they're like, I think that too. She said it, I think I can say it. That's like a total gift as an 8. That being said, speak your piece and be done. You don't need to beat people over the head with how smart you are and how right you are. Let them use their own brains. We know yours works. Calm down, everyone. Next up is use your intense need for justice to show your team how to advocate for themselves and how to take care of themselves in their health, their business, and their lives. The entire goal of like having a team is to equip them, teach them everything you know, and then like send them off into the world. So instill in them that same sense of like justice and just self-reliance that comes naturally to you, but might not come naturally to everybody else. The scary part is show your imperfect self with the scary V word, vulnerability, not the V word you thought I was going to say. It's really nice to have perfectly curated Instagram stories with like really cute filters and like the right outfit and all of that. I have perfectly newborn twins and a 3-year-old, and I can't tell you the last time I've showered with this hair. So the perfect reality like does not exist. I'm also a graphic designer, so I want everything to be like just so imperfect. And like my secret skill is that I can see when things are off by a pixel from across the room. Like I'm not kidding. We have tested this before, and like that's how critical 8s can be of things. So share where you are. Like show up dirty, show up nasty, show up not the way that you want to show up, because number one, it shows that you're real and not a robot, because 8s can be considered to be emotional robots. And number two, when you do that, you're actually channeling like your most raw and authentic self. And that's something that you can't cheat on or fake. And that is what people are here to follow. Like they don't want to follow the same carbon copy of every single person on Instagram with like the peach toned pretty things and whatever, all the white shiplap everywhere. Like, they don't want that. They want somebody that they can be like, girl, yes, that was me today. Or like, yeah, I could also use a shower. Like, people want to connect with people over something real, not over something curated. You are not everyone's cup of tea, but that's fine because beer's better anyway. Don't worry about it. This is not a popularity contest. Another thing is to get honest about who you are, what you want, and how you expect to be treated, and then go empower your team to do the same thing. Those are called standards and boundaries, and they're very, very important. They're very natural to eights, but because they come naturally to you, it's something that is so important to like teach the rest of your team. It scares off people who are not used to that kind of thing, but it creates so much growth and so much freedom in your life to know that you can cut things off where you need to and that you have clear, defined boundaries in your life that do not shift. You cannot die on every hill. Learn which wrongs are worth your energy and which are not, and save your energy for things that deserve your fire if you are an 8. For like a little bit more gentle 8 things, have a trusted friend that you can run things by, and then listen to their input. Don't ask a friend, is this too spicy? Am I going to make someone rage by saying this? And then ignore it. Like, truly listen to that person, and appreciate them and like learn something from them. And then if all else fails, bless all the fools with block. You don't have to fight everyone who's going to come after you and everybody who's going to say you should be this way, this way, this way. Though you could do it, you could win if you wanted to show up for that fight. But save your energy again and your fire for things that really, really matter to your business, to your team, to your relationships, all of that. That is a really quick, I'm sorry, I feel like I just word vomited everywhere, but that is like a basic intro to 8s and things that I've learned just by doing this business for the past few months. So homework assignment, if you are an 8, I dare you to go find someone and be grossly vulnerable with them this week. Like something that you would never, something that you would never say to them or never admit to them. And I know because there are 8s on here, you're all going to check up on me, be like, did you do your homework? This is my home. I just did my homework. I did not put on makeup. I did not prepare for this class. This was off the cuff, and that was real freaking terrifying. So you're welcome. I went. Now it's your turn.
Thank you so much, Abby. Oh my gosh, that was so amazing. I like feel, okay, I need to just stop talking because I have so much to say. I'm going to pass it over to my friend, Christian. Christian is a cross-line friend, platinum, almost diamond. We've done a business together for the last few years, and I just really appreciate you being here, Christian, and giving of your time. I'm going to spotlight your video and mute myself.
Hey guys, I'm really excited to be here. Abby, you are like my person because I know that it's nice to hear an 8 talk like an 8 and not try and fit into the mold of what everyone's looking for. So you did an amazing job. You touched on so many things and I think you did awesome. So tonight I'm going to tell you as an 8 how to totally kill your business. And I'm also going to tell you how to totally kill your business because you can do it both ways. So first off, I just want to say, if you're an 8 out there, I want to tell you that there is so much power in vulnerability. And as this 8 has learned, while it is the biggest weakness that a lot of 8s experience, it's also your greatest strength. And so if you're watching this and you're kind of like wondering what that looks like, in the world of like, when you start really developing it and you start really working in your power, it is so amazing. And so I want to encourage you to get vulnerable, exactly what Abby was talking about. Here's the thing. People trust the snot out of you. And that is such a blessing in this business because when you automatically have trust right there, straight out the get-go, you know that people are going to be attracted to what it is that you are saying, what it is that you have to offer, what lifestyle it is that you are wanting to represent. Like you have it all. So just know that trust being the biggest hurdle, you already have it. And that is really powerful. I want to just say that energetically, 8s are larger than life. But here is what Abby was talking on and I was going to talk on, is that intensity and confidence basically just ooze from an 8's body. And it's very, very charismatic. And with that kind of charisma, it's really, really important that you take into consideration that you have to be very self-aware, because in order to use your energy to get things done, there is a self-awareness that does need to take place. And I think that in order to really kill your business, when you have the ability to be self-aware, you can kind of take a step back and avoid some of the pitfalls that come along with the 8 personality. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, because the Enneagram is in no way a prescription, but it is so much insight, and it can be so beneficial to know where your weakness lies so that you can totally dominate in the areas that you need to dominate in. So here are some pitfalls that you need to avoid, all right? Number 1, allow others to lead. I know you 8 girl is just like, that 8 girl is literally rearing to go 100% of the time. You don't need anyone. We know that. You can do it. We know that. You are amazing at it. We know that. But because your energy is so powerful, when you support other people, it has 100 times the impact than if it were from somebody else, because you are trusted. So when you lead, you have even more of an impact in someone else's life. So lead hard and lead with love. Lead from the back by speaking life, even when you want to stop. You see, here's the thing. 8s possess a lot of dualistic thinking, and that is basically you're either working your business or you're not, in my mind. And what that does sometimes is you write people off when you should be really working in that in-between space of allowing people to go through seasons and sticking with them to create a relationship. Dualistic thinking in this business is the difference between you enrolling people and expecting everything from them and not giving anything back and waiting for people to go, and then you creating a relationship with someone, using your energy to empower them, using your authenticity and your charisma to encourage them to move forward. Those dualistic thinkings right there are the difference between you killing your business and then you really killing your business. So make sure that you are there for people even when you don't feel like they deserve your time. That's like really bad to say, but that's the way that 8s think. It's like, look, I'm going to meet you where you're meeting me. And if you're not willing to like meet me there, like, bye. But unfortunately, 8 friend, it doesn't work like that. Like, people need to feel you. They need to feel your energy. The thing to remember is that there were a lot of great leaders that were 8s. Martin Luther King Jr., he was an 8. He spoke, he could literally give goosebumps to the masses by speaking with truth. But Joseph Stalin was also an 8. So you have to remember that with that energy, there's like this yin and yang, and you need to make sure that you are pulling in that good energy. So allowing people to disappoint you creates a lot of resentment. So stop putting expectations on people. When you're pursuing relationships with people that are building their business, I think it's really important to absolutely like goal set with people, hold people accountable, do those things. But when you put expectations on people, it's really, really hard. And here's why it's hard. As an 8, we see things in people that they don't see in themselves. And it's really hard when you know that there is some power in people, and when they give up or when they feel like they can't do it and you know the truth. And sometimes it hurts because you get really invested and you want them to succeed because you see all of the good. But you have to remember that everyone is in different seasons. And when you hold someone to that expectation, what ends up happening is you end up getting resentful, and you don't want to do that. You want to make sure that you are having some accountability. So kind of like what Abby was talking about, and I'm going to talk on the top 3 needs that I think every Enneagram 8 really needs in this business, but make sure that you have someone in your life that is grounded and holding you accountable, because like Abby said, like, you don't have to die on every hill, and you got to know when your energy and your fire needs to be redirected. And I don't ever say that it should be extinguished, because it shouldn't, but it can be redirected into different areas, you know? So I do want to say that I want to give a few tips to people on how to work with an 8. If you have an 8 in your life and you're not an 8 and you're like, how on earth should I work with this person? So here's number 1. Communication is key. You see, 8s are highly intuitive, and we will often draw conclusions without adequate communication. And I will then blame you. So adequate communication is just so key. Have integrity and gain their trust by being consistent, and do not beat around the bush. I am very direct, and I like for people to be direct with me. And I understand that that is not going to be everyone's, like, it's not in everyone's wheelhouse. You know, being direct can be really hard for people. But if you have an 8 in your life and you are direct with them, that is literally a love language, because being direct is, it actually eases the burden that I have when I feel like I have to use intuitive thinking to get the point. A lot of people feel like a lot of people are very intimidated by an 8, so they don't actually give all of the information. I don't want you to be intimidated. I want you to meet me where I'm at and tell me what it is that you're wanting me to do, when to do it, how to do it, and like, let's go, you know? My crown diamond leader actually calls me Braveheart, because I will go to fight for anyone and everyone. I cheer for the underdog. I know that there are so many people out there that really need this opportunity, and I will fight like hell to be able to speak life into them and to see that. But it also kind of comes at a cost a little bit, because we're really hard on ourselves. And a lot of people, and that's why I think it's really important to be vulnerable about that. 8s actually have experienced in some like shape or form, they've experienced something that makes them feel like they have to be in control. And so I'm going to tell you about an oil that I think can be really powerful for helping you release a little bit of that, so that you can enjoy this experience. Because you have to have joy in your journey. If you're not having joy in your journey, you're just going to get burnt out, Braveheart. And let me tell you, the world needs you, and we don't need you getting burnt out. So here are the top 3 things that as an 8 leader you need. Okay, number 1, you have to have a super strong why. Because here's the thing, as an 8, there has to be a purpose. And without a purpose, there's no reason to move forward. As an 8, your why is going to have to be really strong. And here's something that I just like recently learned, is that your why is going to change. Like, my why for getting started in this business was to retire my husband and to travel. And I'm doing that now. I'm literally like hanging out in the front of my RV while my husband is preparing a fire for me right now, while I'm on the computer. Like, I'm living that. But what's my why now? How is it shifting? How is it changing? And so I don't actually know. So let me just tell you, like, I'm not coming from a place of expert here. I'm coming from a place of I'm learning myself. Like, I don't actually have a good, strong why again. And so I'm having to go back to the drawing board and say, like, where am I at now? What am I going to be? Like, what is it now? So constantly recognizing that you need that why is going to be super beneficial. So revisit your why often. Number 2, The emotional release oils that are necessary for an Enneagram 8 are oils to release anger. Now, if I told any Enneagram 8 that they were angry, they would probably give me 100 reasons as to why they're not angry. But anger is actually a driving force in an Enneagram 8's life. We're angry about injustices. We're angry for people. And we have to actually learn to kind of let some of that anger go, and balance the energy of where it takes place. So for this, I really recommend the essential oil Inner Child, because most of the time an Enneagram 8 needs to recognize that the inner child within them is longing for control. And if you can begin really tapping into that inner child, you can heal some of the obsessive need for control and then just release, okay? The third thing that you need is someone to keep you accountable. And it's so true. You've got to have somebody to keep you accountable, but also having someone in your life that's really, really fun is important, because as Enneagram 8s, we get very driven, but we actually forget sometimes that we're supposed to be having fun. We're supposed to be enjoying this. And so keeping things fun is going to be absolutely pinnacle in your journey. Bethany Shipley, thanks for letting me preach about being an 8 tonight.
Girl, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, both you and Abby, I'm like, okay, so just on a personal level, my brother Jordan is an 8, and so I had like the growing up formative years, immaturity into maturity, like relationship, and oh my gosh, you guys, 8s are freaking awesome. They can change the world, like, or they already are changing the world. And so just, if you know what number you are, homework for tonight, go to Enneagram Institute, click learn, click relationships, and read about your number contrasting with the 8, and look at potential pitfalls, look at potential power areas, because when you have someone in your team who is an 8, you do not want to drive them away. Abby, you have so much grace with me because you work with me so well. And I'm like, hearing this training, I'm like, gosh, it's like speak with clarity. I'm like, oh, she designs the Diamond Workbook. So if you didn't know this, today she's like, so what's our plan for 20? I'm like, what do you think about? Okay, no, I need to be more clear. I love you both so much. Thank you guys for being here. Hey, in 15 minutes, same Zoom link. We're doing oils and special needs here on Zoom. So grab the graphic, put it on your Instagram story, put it on your Facebook. Unmute yourself real quick. Thank Abby and Christian with a little whoop whoop as you hop off, and we'll see you next time.
Guys, love it.
Thank you.
We're out of here.